If you have watched me for any length of time, you would know that Island Royale is one of the main games that I used to create content for. From public games with viewers, to tips and tutorials, to becoming the main competitive tournament streamer, it's fair to say I've been around the block a bit. However, a concept that once blossomed into one of the leading Roblox genres has since become a desolate landscape of empty lobbies and tired gameplay. From a peak of around 30,000 concurrent players during RB battles, Island Royale now barely scrapes double digits at peak times in Europe and North America. With so many players turning their back on the genre on Roblox, I thought I would take a look at the past, present, and potential future of one of the platform's biggest battle royales. Taking a simple look back at the coverage of Island Royale, it's clear to see that back in the day, it attracted some fairly notable content creators. Kalis, Dennis, Russo, and FaZe Jarvis all showcased Island Royale on their channels, notching up millions of views in the process. But despite this exposure, it was only when Island Royale was featured in the RB Battles Championship that the player count finally took off. The battle between Preston Games and Tanker in 2020 was seen by nearly 3 million people, and with a special RB Battles badge up for grabs, there was plenty of buzz as people flocked to IR to complete their badge collection. This led to the game's all-time peak of 30,000 concurrent players during this period, with the game retaining 4-digit player counts for months afterwards. The game's showcase on one of Roblox's premier YouTube game shows propelled Island Royale to new heights, with developer Lord Jerd gaining similar notoriety in the developer community. Several spikes were seen in the game after the RB Battles fallout has subsided. One was following RCN Mania 2 hosted by R2M, with the most recent spikes coming after the 2021 Winter Cup qualifiers and finals and the release of IR Chapter 2. At the same time, similar games like Strucid and Alone Battle Royale were also benefiting from this new hype in Roblox Battle Royales. Their accessibility on Roblox was the main driver of success, since any IR player could hop onto Strucid and try out a similar game in a couple of clicks. This fostered a fierce rivalry between the two games, with many players picking sides as to what they thought the superior game was. After a year of speculation, competition was added to these BRs, which came in the shape of a weekly arena point system and organised tournaments. This further split the player base into casuals and competitive players, with these two groups rarely overlapping or interacting. As the player counts have dwindled, so has the ability of updates, tournaments, and other content to help uplift IR back to where it once was. But how did a game registering thousands, if not tens of thousands of players, end up with counts down in the single digits? Now, if you asked a former player what killed the game, you would probably get a lot of different responses from a lot of different people. It's clear that many different causes led to less people playing the game, but let's take a look at some of the most common responses and grievances. One of the main issues that kept coming up was the lack of updates and the introduction of updates which didn't cater to the existing player base, with many seeing the specific release of IRv2 as the point where Island Royale began to deteriorate. Loads of lag, glitches across the map, and big changes in how the game was played meant it was difficult to adapt to for existing players, while not attracting enough new or former players to make up for this shortfall. Since then, changes in the UI, gun list, and the map haven't been able to undo the damage that this update has caused to the game, and as a result, many former players are reluctant to return. Another issue that came up, and one of the more frustrating aspects, is the prevalence of cheaters and hackers. Obviously, this seriously takes away from the gaming experience, with those players unable to compete in a fair competition and enjoy the game's main attraction. This is especially prevalent in the game's arena mode, where scripts are used to win games, earn points, and artificially climb the leaderboards. Several patches and anti-cheat mechanisms have been added to the game with little effect, leading some members to take drastic action against those caught. Even then, some of the best players are involved in cheating allegations themselves, with rumours that Renegade made the script that was detectable and got players banned from the game. It's clear that the roots run deep with this one, with no real effort to find a long-lasting solution. Following on from that is the lack of content related to Island Royale. As mentioned previously, IR had a string of big name creators make a video about it, earning millions of views and nudging their viewers to try it out. In the present day, few creators remain in the game, with overall awareness beginning to dwindle. Finally, issues about moderation have consistently been raised, which seems to make most of the previous issues even worse. a tournament coordinator who is reluctant to host tournaments, moderators who haven't played the game in months, and a development team which doesn't listen to the community. Players who want to improve the game and have new ideas are ignored, while cheating and toxicity is emboldened because of the lack of action taken by the staff of IR. That isn't to say that these people are terrible or that they have killed IR by themselves, but their lack of action on many key issues hasn't helped the situation, leaving new players with no one to turn to and existing members thinking what's the point in bothering. But what is next for Island Royale? Well, the future is as unclear as it always is and largely hinges on the developers. The release of Chapter 2 gave the game a small amount of traction towards the end of 2023, but much like previous spikes, it hasn't resulted in any long-term activity. With Jerd married and working on other projects, it's likely that he will now be firmly focused on them rather than updating a game which has drifted to the fringe. Regardless of the future, Island Royale has already made Jerd a pretty penny and given countless players some good memories along the years. In conclusion, while there is always the chance that a major refresh and rebirth can happen, I wouldn't get your hopes up on it happening anytime soon. Many people, including myself, have put plenty of time and effort into IR engagement, only for it to eventually fizzle out a couple of weeks later. With the devs moving to other things, regular players are switching over to other games on and off Roblox, and there just isn't enough new players discovering the game to keep it fresh. After 5.5 years of victory royales, it might be time to lay this game to rest.